Hello and welcome to Game Brain. It's a podcast, board game podcast about our gaming group. I'm Ben Mandelker. Joining me tonight, not this morning, tonight is Trey Alsop and Paul Satachet. Hey guys, what's going on with you tonight, this evening?
Tonight.
Anything
Time
there
is
was
a
a
construct.
giant car crash outside of my office from a police pursuit, so that's
Wow.
why I
Right
was
now?
late getting on.
Wow,
Yeah.
that was crazy.
And
That's
you got
crazy.
away. Amazing.
It-
Congratulations.
They still haven't found you. You did it again,
I
Trey.
had a
Well done.
VIP outside my office, and so the police officers were not able to raid my speakeasy.
Whoa,
There we go.
beautiful tie-in.
Whoa.
But this is actually a very important question. Actually, it does tie in because today we are going to review Speakeasy, the Vital Lacerda hotness of 2025. My question to you all, so actually not to you, it's not to you, Paul. I'm sorry. I'm cutting you out. Was this like a proper police chase was it on TV?
I don't know. I've been teaching down at USC today, but the crash happened a couple of hours ago, and it was big enough for Jenny to call me to make sure it wasn't me in the crash.
So
I
it must
think-
have been on TV. I mean,
Must have been on TV.
what people may or may not know is that there are certain car chases in Los Angeles that make it on the news. And when it happens, it's like a unifying event for the city. We all somehow like start watching. And like I'm always sad every time I miss
Has there
one.
ever been any famous car chases in Los Angeles? I can't think of.
Thanks,
Oh,
once in a
OJ.
while.
Thanks
Once in a
for
while.
what a pioneer.
They are
What
so
a
fun
pioneer
to watch,
OJ and,
though.
and Al Cowlings were.
That's right.
They are a great social media event for Los Angeles because everyone turns on TV or whatever they're going to watch it on, and everyone starts, tweeting or whatever. The really good ones. So
There's a
I'm
car
little
chase
sad that I missed
channel now, I think, by the
it. Is
way.
there really?
Wow.
Good for them.
Really?
Wow.
There's that much
Well,
demand.
Nothing. Well, honestly, I think the best outside of OJ, the best car chase wasn't even a car chase, but this is the one that I think the whole nation tuned in for was Balloon Boy, which I don't know if people remember that, but that was like 2011 or so.
Oh, that
when
fraud
this,
where
this family did a hoax and they sent up a weather balloon and they told the authorities that their child had gone into the weather balloon and the weather balloon had taken off. And so the entire nation stopped what they were doing for like 2 hours in an afternoon, like a Wednesday afternoon, and watched this like aluminum foil balloon float across the heartland. And like all the news was on it. Everyone's like, there's a child up there. How do we intercept this thing? How do we get the child out of here? That was an amazing fraud, amazing hoax on America.
they still haven't gotten you.
Still haven't got me. So today we are talking Vital Lacerda. I feel especially prepared tonight.
Oh wow.
Oh, good.
Because I went to a bar beforehand. I'm one martini deep for this review. I'm not gonna
You
lie.
had some hooch.
Wait. You're potting drunk?
No, I'm
potting
actually not
under the
that
influence?
drunk. I think I guess you could say I'm potting under the influence. I actually barely even feel buzzed, but I feel like normally I would feel like this is an irresponsible thing for me to do would be to have a martini before a podcast. Not that it hasn't happened before.
But it's game brain. It's game brain.
But it's Game Brain, and it is a
Thematic.
review. It is a review about opening up speakeasies, and I kind of went to a speakeasy tonight. So it all like made sense, and I felt like it got me in the mood for the review. Before we dive into that review, though, we're just going to touch on relatively quickly some recent plays that have happened, amongst us or not amongst us or whoever,
Amongst Ben.
amongst strangers. No, just us. Paul, you got your first hand at the Old King's Crown the other
Old
night.
King's Crown. Yeah.
This game is like big hotness. Sharp
Big
and Sit
hotness.
Down, NPI, other people are like IGN. People are losing their mind for this game. We're gonna do a full review for it. But Paul,
2 weeks.
you got in 2 weeks.
That's right.
But Paul, you got to try it for the first time. What did you think?
Well, it was funny because I was in Atlanta and in the middle of the night, like Matt texted me, "Oh, I gotta teach you Old King's Crown. You're gonna love it." And so I go like, "Okay, well let's do it." And so we played. Was it last night? No, 2 nights ago.
Whatever it was, yeah.
And
I'm too drunk to know.
that's right. That's and I thought I was like, "Oh, it's okay. It's okay. It's good. It's good. It's a lot. There are a lot of things, moving parts. There are a lot of pieces and different asymmetries that are. I go like, I can see how it could be fun." And then at the last move, like where the last round, it became everything that Matt kind of promised it would be for me. Where it became this sense of like psychology and gameplay and it all culminated in one thing. I go, this is why people love this. This is why people like this. I can see it all come because I was trailing for the most part. Then I caught up in the fourth round. In the fifth round, everyone had a way to win if they understood the psychology of what was going to be played at that game of the other people. And David Gilson won. So obviously, it's not balanced; it's broken. But no, but there was a game we played, and then there was a 15-minute debrief about the last round, how things could have gone. I thought that was really, really interesting. I'm very eager to play again.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, I played at the other table too. I think the game is really fun. I don't necessarily, I don't see why it's being considered like game of the year, and people are like crazy excited about it. But I think it's like a really fun game. Like I played it twice now. I had a large amount of fun both times. I find that for me, it sort of like lands in that category of when I'm playing it, I'm having a lot of fun, and when I'm not playing it, I'm not thinking about it. But I think that for people who enjoy, like a card-based game, it's going to be like everything they could ever dream of. Like, and I think I see everything that you're saying. There is a lot of like psychology, and there's a lot of like getting into people's heads, and like it's like really cool. I enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to more plays. I just don't understand the hype personally, but I think that like who cares if I don't understand the hype? Does that take away from the game?
Yes, 100%. I take it back. I don't like it at all. And maybe it is balanced. I don't know. But no,
it's a stupid game.
It's a stupid game. Ben says stupid game. I think it's a stupid game now too.
Why does everyone want a crown? Okay, so the king died.
It's old, and the crown's old too.
Why don't you get a job? Get a job.
Right.
How about that? Get a job. Why are you trying to get it? Why are you trying to get a crown?
That's right.
No, it's a good game. It actually is legitimately a very good game. Oh, one thing I didn't mention before we go on to the next one is that we're on video. Of course, new era.
I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry. We're on video, everyone.
We apologize.
This is classic. This is your mid-review announcement that if you're enjoying the way this sounds, you can enjoy the way it looks, perhaps, because you go to Game Brain YouTube channel and you can watch us. You can see all three of us, which is fun.
All three of our baddie selves.
All three of our baddie selves. Also, by the way, check out Table Scraps, which is my own video channel, board game content, where I'm just playing around doing different things, first impressions, reviews, discussions, who knows whatever's on my mind. So that's more board game content, but it's all part of the
You know what I love about Table Scraps?
What?
It's funny.
Oh.
It's very funny.
Thank you.
I love, the little moments where you have a conversation with a board game and the board game gets catty, got things to say.
The board game is basically like my inner thoughts, that I'm projecting to myself.
It's incredible. Like the title is it works on so many levels. There's scraps. They're scrapping. It's too good. It's too good.
I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's like I really feel the reason why I even started it was because obviously my quote unquote day job is that with Watch for Crappins, I'm podcasting in the pop culture space. And there's so many podcasts that are talking about reality TV or just pop culture or whatever that's happening that are all doing video. And they're doing video in a very chatty way that I feel like I'm not seeing in board game content. And I decided that I was going to try to bring that sensibility to board game content. The irony is that I haven't had a guest on the show in a while, so I've been talking to inanimate objects in my chat board game podcast. But that's just a technicality. Who cares about that?
No,
it works.
A journey.
Thank you, Trey.
Thank you. Your different personalities interacting. It's fascinating.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, and everyone, please subscribe to both this channel and to Table Scraps and help our algorithms bring us to glory.
You're getting a lot of content out quickly, which is impressive. So if you're feeling like, hey, things were slow with Game Brain, you're getting a constant feed.
I put some Table Scraps episodes. I kind of embedded some into our Game Brain feed when things were slow at one point. I was like, let me cross-purpose it. I don't know if people like that or not. I don't know if people wanted to hear that. But
they're just sick of you. There's too much Ben.
I think the algorithm would just punish you for trying that.
That's right.
I know. Well, everyone come see me at BravoCon next week also, if you're interested.
I did notice that the episode featuring Paul got very few views.
Thank you very much, Trey.
Paul's episodes have the lowest views.
That's right. So if you wish to give it
I
more
personally
thumbs down,
enjoyed that very much.
I like
that
the
I
Paul
could-
But the people have spoken.
That's right. No,
No.
it-
But look, we have a larger audience now. Paul, you know what? I'll have both of you guys on table scraps. It's gonna be
no.
amazing.
Like I think it's a thumbnail issue. Like Ben decided to put
Yeah.
me prominently up on the thumbnail. I'm not gonna. This isn't doing it. It's okay.
I I have been
But
working on my
James,
thumbnail
put
game.
James prominently up on the.
James,
That's right.
On
James
the-
he
with that
sells
a handsome
luxurious
man.
hair.
James is a
He's
handsome man.
well, James is an actor. James, a friend of the
Yeah.
podcast, James is an actor, and so he's photogenic.
With
He
that
looks great
with that
up there on
man
the thumbnail.
that mane of hair. Like
There's very few people whose hair I'm jealous of, and James
James
has got it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna move on to another game.
Yes, let's please move on. Yes.
And because we one of our pledges was that when it's a review episode, we're gonna get to the review quickly. We're trying to
Right.
just be more on top of it, and then in between review episodes, we can like take our time and talk about more games at a more greater length, and we may even circle back to some of these games. But I played a real weird and interesting game with our lovely friend Candace, formerly of BGG. She introduced me to a game she got in Essen called Night Soil. Do you guys have any idea of what Night Soil is or might be?
I think I know exactly what night soil is.
What is it? Tell Trey.
It's poop.
It's poop. It's a game about medieval poop. This game, designed by John Moffat, is about London in the Middle Ages dealing with poopocalypse.
apocalypse.
Now, why was that not the title?
Poopocalypse.
The poop up?
Because it actually almost sounds nice. It almost sounds like Calypso. Poopocalypse. Poop-mageddon. Basically, shocker, in the Middle Ages, London was run over by poop. So the game is so funky. It's another one of these games where there's a piece of cloth as your board, which I think the novelty of that's starting to run out for me a little bit. But like, whatever, it's fine. It's this crazy board with all these districts on it. And in each district is like a worker placement action. So I'm trying to think of a good comp for this. Like imagine
Board
a
made out
of
of Charmin, maybe? Or
it's a
Don't
two-ply
squeeze it,
board.
Trey. Don't
It's
squeeze
a
the Charmin.
two-ply board. There's pictures of bears on it. But like the districts are all kind of like hand drawn. There's nothing like symmetrical about this map, but just visually, because I know people are at home, they have to.
I'm
visualize
visualizing this game. Oh, yeah.
Visualize. You may visualize this game every day at certain times. Imagine like a Catan map, for lack of a better comparison. So you have just imagine like a map of all these different hexes together, and imagine that like each one of those hexes you could put a worker down on, and it will give you a different action. Okay, and you're doing these actions in pursuit of getting cards, getting money. Maybe you're gonna get some other benefit. There's some tracks that you can go up. So you're putting your workers down. And this map is essentially a map of old London. And every time you put a worker down, the worker poops. So you put down a worker.
No, continue.
In the not soil. So
Didn't
you
that
put
tell you
down
that you would love this game too, Paul?
Matt did not text me
The old
like
ki-
in the middle
the
of
old
the night.
king's
This game is perfect for you, Paul.
That's right.
the old king's poop? So you put down a worker and it poops. You can also put down a big worker and it gives a double poop. And every worker spot can only take in
Two
the
poops.
no pun intended, in the shitty areas of the board, it can take 3 poops before that spot is locked out. So that means that 3 workers can go there and do the action, or 1 worker and 1 big worker. So the more poop accumulates on a worker placement spot, the sooner it will be unavailable. And then there's like the nice areas of London, like the royal areas. Those can only take 2 poops. So those lock up quickly, those spots. So this is all like kind of like a funny thing, right? Once everyone's done with their worker, once everyone's done with their worker placement, then we go to this poop cleaning phase. And this is the real interesting novelty, which is that this map, your Catan map, has basically 2 exits for the poop to go out. And there's 1 exit that you can send stuff out if you have a special power. And all the cards that you have, all those cards that you've gained, you activate them in pursuit of getting the poop out of the city, because you actually want to collect poop. So you are gonna get the cards have the art on these cards is so viscerally disgusting, but also hilarious. Like you can't help but like appreciate how this game goes for. It's all like picture book like. It's like imagine your favorite old story time book. So you have like a was it like a mud raker mud? I don't know. They all like it's like
Cart driver,
and
farmer.
you pick up this one can move one cube this way, move another this way. Mucklark. Oh yeah, the mudlark. So, mucklark, whatever it is. But you have this really funky puzzle of moving these cubes around and trying to get them off the board because you want to be the one to kick it out of London because you can accumulate it and you're gonna get money for it. And so this worker placement game, how you place your workers, totally informs how you do this poop stage. And the poop stage is this fascinating puzzle. And then however the poop stage all shakes out, whatever poop is left on the board is also going to inform the future worker placement round, because if there's poop left over on a spot, that spot may not be entirely available for the next round.
It's like residue. It's poop residue.
It's residue.
There you go.
So it's actually a really cool and clever game. However, in a 2-player game, you play 5 rounds. And by like round 3, I was like, okay, I'm like ready for this game to wrap up. And it just sort of kept
to wipe up.
Ready for it to wipe up. I'm ready to flush this one. So it did overstay its welcome like a turd in a toilet.
To double flush. Yeah.
But I actually think I felt like the game needed like another draft. And there was some Candace had some power that was just like really OP, and like I'm never one who's gonna be like that's OP, but it was really OP. It felt like there needed to be some tweaks, but I thought like honestly as a concept, once you get over the poop thing, if that's an issue, it actually is a pretty cool and interesting game. So that is Night Soil.
This reminds me, looking at it reminds me a little bit of the old splatter game Antiquity.
Yeah.
That had the kind of, did they call it waste in Antiquity, or
no? It's something.
Or is it pollution? Or
it is definitely pollution. That's what you're doing, but I forgot what it's called.
But the idea is like you have these different spaces, and when you use them, they become
like corrupted or something.
Yeah, and so the board
the
gradually fills up with poop, essentially, until you can't do anything. And so
yeah,
maybe poop isn't as at the core of the game. I think it's harder to get rid of the poop in Antiquity, but it reminds me a little bit of that.
I feel like Antiquity, I never played it, but from my views of it like the poop read more like environmental, like pollution.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it's like you've created poop, now you gotta have some poop management, you gotta get rid of it. So anyway, it's a funky one. I think it's a try before you buy though, for sure. But it's definitely it's like a very clever game.
Like the bones that you're describing sound pretty clever.
Yeah, it is. The bones are very, very clever, but I found that in execution. But like first round, I was like, this game is really cool. Second round, like this game is really cool. And then third round, I was like, I kind of feel like I'm doing the same thing again. But whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
sure.
You're kind of struggling and straining and just ready to move on.
Felt a little constipated by it.
Constipated.
The last thing I'll mention, I'm not even going to go into it because I want to get into Speakeasy, but I will say I did finally get to play 18 Cuba, which is on my shelf of shame. And I really enjoyed it. And next time we sort of have an episode dedicated to recent plays, I'm going to expand on it, but it was really clever and really interesting. So I guess that's more of like a sneak preview to the next time.
Was 18 Cuba like the first coin game? Am I right about that? Or is it's one of the earliest coin games?
Cuba Libre was, but 18 Cuba
it's 18 Cuba. Sorry, I'm thinking of Cuba Libre. You're right.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Cuba Libre. Cuba Libre is a cocktail. Wait a second. Are we talking about liquor? Are we talking about liquor right now? Are we transitioning? Should we transition?
We did.
All right. Yeah, because we're running late. Well, not late, but let's get into Speakeasy. Speakeasy. It's time to talk about Speakeasy. Vital Lacerda, his 2025 game, artist Ian O'Toole. Vital and Ian, when they get together, you're going to get a few things. You're going to get a big box. You're going to get a lot of icons. And you're going to get a lot of icons. So
you can get a lot of wood. Yeah.
You get a lot of, you got a lot of pieces. You get a lot of pieces of me. That's an Ashley Simpson reference that I think no one will appreciate. So, Trey, can you tell everyone like a 30-second, I'm going to give you 90-second elevator.
90 seconds.
Thank you. Wow.
Yeah. It's a long elevator. Burj Khalifa style. Tell everyone.
Okay, in Speakeasy, you play a crime family during Prohibition as you make your mark on Manhattan. You kind of start with no presence in the city, and then you're going to kind of like play out the Prohibition era, in which you expand into the city. And the way you do this is you are opening or taking over speakeasies. That's kind of like the main kind of building in the game. You can also build a still to make your own liquor. You can open casinos. What's the in the final building is hotel?
It's a nightclub.
Nightclub.
Nightclub casino.
And part of the idea here is you're part of kind of like a larger crime network, but like larger crime networks, you're actually competing with other criminal families. So you can expand into areas that are unclaimed, but you're likely to face a crime family moving into those areas later that's going to push you out. Or you can kind of move in on an existing crime family and take over their operations. Every single round you have, I guess they're not family members, but on the surface, this is a worker placement game.
No, they're called
family.
They're family. The family.
Family. Like
Family.
Yeah.
The family tree.
And play the Godfather music underneath, right?
And you're taking an action. There are some dedicated action spaces, which, like worker placement, can block other people other than their spaces that allow you to kind of move in and take spots that have already been taken a little bit.
I'm just going to clarify. The workers are your capos. The family members are like the lower end people. Just want to say, because people are going to listen and be like, no, that's not the right one. But yeah. Continue.
That's exactly what they'll sound like too.
So you do have these worker action spaces that often do almost like 2 or 3 different steps all at the same time, but they're the things that you want to do as a gangster family in Prohibition. You can build a speakeasy, you can build a hotel, you can produce liquor, you can move your liquor, you can throw a big party that's going to convert your liquor into cash. You can you can move your trucks and buy liquor off of these boats that are constantly circling the cities. You can even take over these boats and steal from them because you're a criminal. Yay. Each of these is going to be played over a different era in which we're going to kind of have a area control battle that's going to get us some points. There's a lot of different stuff going on, but what I would say is this game models like being a crime family during Prohibition in a lot of really interesting and exciting ways, other than you don't really end up fighting each other. You do end up kind of being in conflict with the other crime families that are always oppressants. And so the narrative can be quite strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly
what I leave out. There's a lot of little pieces of extra things there, but at its core, it's kind of like a worker placement. And I think one of the things, Ben, you and I often like about games that are based on cities, this isn't exactly a city builder, but the game starts with kind of a relatively empty board of Manhattan where you kind of have some early presence of gangsters on the city. But by the time we reach the end of the game, we have kind of almost filled the map with crime families where Prohibition is completely, the crime families have completely taken over New York, and it's probably time to end Prohibition because crime is
the police too.
Yeah,
the police have also taken over. Like the board fills up, and it feels
in meaningful ways.
Feel it in very meaningful ways. And what's interesting is that this game has area control, it has pick up and deliver, but at its core, it's really just a worker placement game. I think it's actually, if you really just distill it, pun intended, if you distill it down though.
That's when it happens accidentally, doesn't it, Ben?
Yeah, that was
it's autopilot now.
No, but truly when you do distill it down, it really is a big, elaborate, brain crunchy worker placement game. And to that end, I kind of want to start off asking you guys what you both think in terms of the gameplay. Let's start in with the gameplay this time. I want to know what you both think is the most striking mechanic in the game for you. And the reason why I'm asking this is because Vital Lacerda is known for when he has a new game out, there's usually some shtick that is like iconic for it. I think that when you look at Kanban I think you've got Sandra, and you got the idea that like your actions take quote unquote time. That's like the thing, especially Sandra. And then you have on Mars, you have the idea that you have to like some actions are up in space, some are down on the planet, and you have to pivot back and forth. And different things have different things. What do you think in this game is like when you think of Speakeasy? This is the thing that you're going to think of with this game.
You want to go
What do you
first,
think?
Paul?
Sure. Like for me, like I don't think there's anything that I haven't seen before in another game. I think what at least I keep on complaining about, and when I say complain, I mean like good complain, is that the action selection is so finely tuned that I'm going like this is like a perfect amount of like causing me like pain for the right pain. It's calibrated to create the right pain in me. Where every time I want to do an action, it's like if only these two actions were reversed, that would be great. And every single time I take an action, I keep on falling for the same thing. Uh, I think the way I would describe it, because I describe everything in food, I go, this is a perfectly seasoned dish that is like seasoned to the grain of salt as far as its action selection. That's how when I think of it, that's what I think of. Like, oh, this is really precise in a way that in itself is novel.
What do you think, Trey?
I think I think there are
that's
some really
accurate?
unique things about this game that I cannot place in other games. And I think it probably all comes down to this game's played over eras. And so there's 16 different districts of New York that the map represents. And so one of the things the game does really nicely is you've got these meteors in the form of crime families that are or police that are descending upon your given little district there, and they let you see that like something's coming. So you have time to prepare, but you do have these. I think the thing that's unique for me is, okay, I know on this at the end of this era, mobsters are going to roll in on this era, and I need to be ready for this. Everything in my turn has to be geared towards this thing coming, and then you kind of have a dual threat. It's like, okay, even if I deal with the mobsters that would take over my speakeasy, I also have to worry about the damn police, because if the police are in my area, they're going to shut down everything that I have unless I have taken the time to recruit and position these VIPs, members of the family, outside my door in order to allow myself to operate. And so that kind of changing landscape, but where you kind of there's no like real big surprises a lot of times. Sometimes you can be surprised a little bit about how strong certain mobsters are when they roll in, but you see stuff coming, and that does create a really interesting tension. And even one of the things that can be really interesting is like if you successfully like completely deal with these mobsters rolling into town, they go away forever. But if they set up a presence in the city, then you can actually befriend them. Like forming an alliance with these other like NPC mob families can be really essential for dealing with ongoing threats, and that felt really in line with a gangster game. I don't think I've seen anything like that where I'm constantly scoping the board of like, hey, where's an opportunity? Can I make some progress here and deal with the problems that are going to be there later? Versus, oh, I can actually handle these mobsters now, and then I'll never have to worry about some family moving in. It's a kind of a little bit of a difficult thing to explain, but you are kind of seeing threats facing you all the time, and you have to kind of matrix it, bullet time to have all of the bullets miss you a little bit.
And you should see this on video, guys, because Trey like
I did it.
timing.
I completely.
He bullet timed. I think I'm in agreement with you on a lot of that. And by the way, before I get into my thoughts on that, I have to say, when you talked about how like there's this cool thing where like these mobsters come in and they will attack, and if you don't shoot them off, you can shoot them away from your locations, and there's a way to shoot them off entirely, in which case they never enter the game. But if they do take up residency, then you can become friends. And we played with James of the beautiful hair, and he had a sort of a hilariously bad for him series of events wherein I forgot her name, but she came in. She was a lady mobster. She came in, destroyed his one and only still in the game. Just destroyed
Irreplaceable, completely irreplaceable.
She came in, she burned down his production, and then he had to become friends with her because she was the only way that he could save his presence for the rest of the game against future mobsters. So he had to befriend her, and then there was a mob war, and it meant that like every time he got attacked so many times, and every time he got attacked, he had to
pay her
$8 to her. So she came in, destroyed his still, and then extorted him for all of his money for the rest of the game. And I was like, that just told an amazing story for James.
And he still won.
He did not. It cost him.
He did not, but he still beat me. He did not beat them, but he beat me.
Well, I had a crazy game. That was the game where I got $496.
Wow.
But we were playing with expansion. We'll come back to that.
That's worth saying, by the way, that this is one of those games where the money you have is your score.
Yeah. I always like that, actually. I always like that when you can spend your points. I am sort of with you on this, Trey. I was trying to figure out what is like the defining feature, because I agree with you, Paul. I think the worker placement in this game is like finest omakase, perfectly timed, tuned. Like it's the tweezer comes out and puts the sprig on the top of the other sprig, and it balances and looks like a swan somehow. Like it's perfect worker placement. Like it's just, and we'll get into that. But I think like the shtick of it, I think, is that you have these mob wars, and we have 3 acts. Well, we have technically 4 acts. But you have 3 main acts. You have 3 mob wars where they come,
and then
mob
one final
comes,
action.
The police come, and I was like, is this the shtick? Because I mean, we've played games before where there's an interlude and there's an event that happens, and you have to deal with the event. Evacuation has that, you know. Yes.
For me, like with the way that Trey was describing it, like it's Year of the Dragon. Like you know what's coming.
Year of the Dragon.
And you have to prep for it, and so that's how my brain registers it. True, you can't like befriend the dragon, or you can't befriend the Mongols coming or whatever. But like, I think this has a better theme integrating it. Like,
I think there's like an element of being hit on 2 fronts by both the police and the mobs that makes it feel like a little different. And then friend of the podcast, Tim, he actually was positing a really interesting theory. He was saying that what is so unique about this game is he says he feels that a lot of times when you're dealing with an NPC that's attacking you, it's usually in a cooperative setting and you're sort of banding together. But in this case, it's actually a competitive setting, and that you are fighting the game in a competitive game. And that felt very innovative to him. And I thought that was an interesting take. I mean, because you do have to deal with events in other games, but this game is like not just events. It's like really, it's like things that enter the board state that then you have to deal with for the rest of the game. What do you guys think about that take?
I think that's a very advanced take in as far as like thinking about it. I don't know if in practice I would even have noticed it,
Right.
Like for me, but
I think the shtick of this game though is ultimately, if you're going to think of Speakeasy, you can be like, oh, that's the game with the mob wars, right? That's the game where like the game attacks you. Right. And it's interesting that you don't attack each other.
I'm struggling to think of something that's like that. Yeah, I see his point, and I can't think of anything that's like that. You were talking on your Table Scraps review about the player board, and I was going to make the point of like when you ally with one of these mobsters, they actually like become part of your player board.
Yeah.
But that's only like one of many things that's amazing about the player board, which I think we haven't even mentioned yet, but is definitely one of the big selling points of this game.
Well, it's so funny because normally when I like to outline the structure of our reviews, I usually start with theme and presentation. And for some reason this time I was like, let me put it at the end. But there's part of me that thinks, do we like go right there now? Because it's such a huge part of this game. The theme and the presentation is like you cannot talk about this game without talking about how it is presented. Like sometimes these games are so bloated, they're so big, they're so extra, and you feel like, well, that's cool, but did it really need to be like this? But this game, I have to say, this is a real stunner. right? Like, well, let's start with the player board right now. You started talking about it. Let's get right into this. This player board, we've seen player boards that have tracks on them before, and when you tuck cards under it. But this one just feels like it's on a whole new level, right? Like,
Does
Well, it's
it?
almost
what do you think?
environmental, right? It starts to tell its own story of your progress, right? You're not just
Yes.
moving up tracks. It's as you add things, they start to like fill up these windows and tell a little bit of a story of what's happened even already.
Like, so the top part, you have your card tableau, right?
Mm-hmm.
The bottom part is like, to me, I think of Hansa.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like, you know, you put something down, Scooby
Metallica.
Snack. Yeah. So I guess, and this is maybe I'm the dissident person here. I go, I actually don't see all this great innovation. I see like tons of refinement in a way that I like, and I just hear you guys talking like, oh, you guys see this as a mob war game. I see it as like a selling my liquor game.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like
Yeah. But the focus is different. Like, you know, like I go like, oh, we have some really different ideas on what
I
this
think
game is.
it's about running a speakeasy, and part of running
Yeah.
a speakeasy is dealing with mob wars. It's about it's about selling your liquor,
Yeah, sure.
and in the game, you really only get to do so much. So, sort of like the focus of any different session is going to be kind of like that one specific slice of running a speakeasy.
100%. The second time I played, I go like, oh, there are like 5 things that you can do, and you're gonna only be able to do 3.
Yeah.
And at any given phase, like they might not be the same 3.
Here's
Go-
where I
sorry.
think the player board is innovative. It's innovative just in terms of presentation.
Yes.
I mean, it's not like it's changing the way we play the game, but sort of to kind of clarify a little bit more, we have a player board and we have 4 different types of cards in this game. And when you play them, you're going to tuck them under your player board, and each, like, a purple card goes in this designated slot, orange cards go in this designated slot. But where the innovation is that you're not just like tucking them under the board. You're actually kind of tucking them. It's a dual layer board, so you're sliding it in between the layers. And the board, the player board is designed in such a way, as Trey, you mentioned picture frames. When you look at the player board, you have to envision that you are sitting in a speakeasy and you're sitting behind a big desk and you're looking out at the wall.
The window.
When you
That's right.
when you sit at your desk,
You're Al Pacino and Scarface
you
behind
are
your
Al
big
Pacino.
table with the mound of cocaine.
yes,
The chairs in front of you for your capos.
of your capos. They're all there to report to you about something. And then you have, from just everyone, just like visualize, if you're listening to this podcast, you look to the left and there's a door and it's leading to a room, like a special VIP room that, like, you know, not everyone in the speakeasy even has access to, but maybe you're going there, maybe you're smoking a cigar or doing drugs, having sex. Who knows what's going on in that room?
Those doobies.
Doobies.
There's a rope
Then
line.
you look to the right and there's a frame there, and it's just an empty frame, but it could be filled with something. And then you look in the center directly, and there's a staircase leading down and just some empty tables. And then to the right of that, there's another picture frame. It's just a poster that needs to be filled someday. And then there's a window and you can see out to the street. And when you play certain cards, those elements that just describe fill in with things. The VIP room, you play a certain card, all of a sudden you see people in the room. You look at the window, you see a truck outside, they're waiting. You look, you get a mobster friend, and your empty tables fill up with people. And some on those frames,
Posters.
you might see the posters. You might see a party that's coming.
It's like a jazz show
Drink.
coming up.
The innovation is that every time that you slide those cards in, it's, first of all, very delightful, but it's like instant immersion. It's just taking you right into the game. It's getting you into this game. And I think, like, those things are so important for a board game experience. I'm really realizing. And so I think the innovation of how it's like saying, I don't want to just slide cards under here. I want to, like, take the user into this world. And I think that's extraordinary. It only took me 10 minutes to explain it.
Agreed.
Speak.
It sets the table really well.
That's a great way of phrasing it, Trey. I love that.
Yeah, I think this is one of Ian O'Toole's better designs.
Artwork. Yeah.
Yeah, not just in terms of artwork, but Am I wrong that did he do Galactic Cruise or no?
He did. He did do
Like
Galactic
Galactic
Cruise.
Cruise at times feels sterile. You
Yes.
know,
Yes.
um, like I don't really want to occupy that world of the Galactic Cruise.
I
Hmm.
agree. I agree.
Whereas I
Yeah.
feel very immersed in the design of Speakeasy. And some of that is the player board, and some of that is the kind of amazing map. I love me a good map. I think this map is meaningful. I think the wooden pieces on the map all have a lot of meaning, but they're also like a lot of fun. Like you have this you have your little delivery truck that
I mean,
perfectly
the
holds
truck.
two little wooden barrels, and you move it around Manhattan, and you're dropping off barrels at your speakeasy, or you're picking up barrels when you're buying them off of the rum runners that are just off you know, the edge of the island there that's constantly moving around. All that stuff means stuff, and it tells its own little story because a lot of times you're halfway through the game and you're like, oh, James is really going for it uptown, whereas Trey's more the downtown mobster. But there's more points in the uptown type of thing. Like you do end up kind of the board is telling a story of the kind of game that you're playing. And it yeah, it's exciting to see how the progress of how the game fills out.
Yeah.
It has meaning and it has a really strong narrative element.
And it's playful. Like that truck, I feel like I've been waiting all my life for that truck to arrive in board gaming. I feel like after watching so many things fall over on Autobahn, I mean, I had to glue magnets onto my Autobahn trucks because I was so sick of those things falling off. But like, it's taken so long to get trucks that actually hold the components we're delivering, and like, it just is so delightful. I mean, setting up all those barrels on those rum runner boats at the start of the game is a little annoying, but like, just quality of life things. It's fun. It's fun to pick up your truck and send it along. Maybe even do a vroom noise. I've definitely done it before. I think that's all. I think the presentation is wonderful. I think the iconography is actually also pretty good in this game.
It's
I
pretty
think
good.
once you,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
There's
a
times
little
you definitely
small
have to have your
sometimes.
guide because a lot of things look similar, but that's often the difference of you can do this action versus you can draw a card of this action.
Yeah,
Like those things look very similar, and it takes a little while to kind of understand the distinctions because a lot of things do look similar, and after one play you get it, but it can be a mass of icons
yeah, and
the
and
first
and
time.
the setup is the first one or two times you do it. The setup is a beast, and it'll take you way longer than you expect. And it's not helped by the fact that the text in the rule book is very small. I
Hmm.
think they were really trying to save space, maybe save some money with that rule book by not making it longer than it had to be. But the text is really small, and the images that they use for examples are really kind of hard to decipher. They're really small, and so you're like, "What? I don't know if I understand this." And then you're trying to read it. But honestly, after like the second time you set up the game, it actually goes pretty quickly because there's a good insert that keeps everything relatively well organized. So I actually think it sets up faster than you would think. Just the first time you do it, you're going to be pulling your hair out, and I apologize ahead of time that you have to go through that, but it's just part of the process. Um, but I think that presentation is great. So let's go back to the gameplay because I think you have this theme and presentation that has taken you into this world, and the question is like, then what is the game that supports this vibe? And I want to kind of go back to what Paul was talking about with the worker placement. Like, what makes this worker placement so like really so agonizing and so fine tuned? Like, what makes a worker placement fine tuned versus not fine tuned?
I think for me, like the way I would describe it is you're running a business, and you're running a business that is not super well funded slash legal. So every choice you make has like these major stakes associated with it. And so I think to fine tune that in the action selection is that every single thing has to be consequential. And I think at for every single row or whatever action space, I think there is not a dud action in there. I think the question is, are you choosing the right two as opposed to uh, because you need three. You know, you need to do three, and you're only getting two. And so, like, the calculus of going like, oh, I can do these two. I must do these two now, and this third one I must do too. But I can wait one turn later, maybe, and I hope no one takes it.
Well,
so,
and
so
just to clarify that you only get 11 turns in this game,
yeah,
and
it's thin.
every action spot that you take.
That's why the game plays so fast.
Yeah,
that's why it's so breezy, and there's always a clear idea of what to do next.
It could exactly.
And sort of just to remind people from what Trey was saying earlier, every action spot you're doing like two things, maybe three things. Like
in a sequence.
one area where you can do, but basically you have 11 turns, but on your turn you're gonna have like two or three things that you get to do, if not more.
If I understand Paul correctly, I think the thing you're responding to and really liking is how much thought has gone into each one of those spaces.
Like not just each space, but each like the whole collective as well. Like
the framing is that each of these like big spaces is a location, like the restaurant or city hall or something like that. But then there's individual up to three different like individual slices of those locations that will be slightly different, but in really meaningful ways. A lot of times too.
Meaning that if you go to the city hall, everyone who goes to the city hall of all three of those spaces is going to get to do the big city hall action, which I think is to
build Speakeasy, right?
Whatever it is, I think it's actually to protect your Speakeasy, whatever it is. But everyone gets to do the big thing, but then each player is going to get a different kind of ancillary action to go with it, and so kind of even making that choice can be very difficult.
But one of the things that is amazing about it is like you have to play the top action first and then the bottom action. And sometimes you really, 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 really want it to be the other way around, but you can't do that. And when I look at the tableau of actions, I go like, I can see the intellect that's been put into this. You know, it's really like when you're eating something really refined, you can taste the craft in it, like the knife cuts and stuff like that. Like
you keep relaying everything to food.
I gotta be me. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. What's the egg? What's the sushi egg called again?
Tamago.
Tamago. No, tamago. Yeah, this is like the tamago. This is Jiro dreams of sushi making the tamago.
Yeah, like it is like I feel like I can taste the knife cuts of the intellect of how he chose to do these things. I'm going like, wow. This is really, really precise in a way that I actually don't think I felt in another game. As far as like this level of precision of like each thing is so like it takes a lot of skill to make me go. I'm going to go down this
route.
Make
it this painful.
Yeah. This is like what happens is like I go down the route of action. I go like I'm going all the way, and I'm a micron away from getting what I want, and I go, oh wait, it's not calibrated right. Oh no!
It's like he knows the traps that we're all going to fall into. It feels like this was play tested, like beautifully. Like they really, like just like thoughtfully. Whoever play tested this gave wonderful feedback, and he like used
good notes,
just right. Like it's. Because you know what, like if you look at Agricola, one of the very, very, very best worker placement games of all time, like that is obviously, masterclass. However, in Agricola, you don't really have too many pairings of actions, right? A lot of times the actions are just like on their own. Okay. There may be some spots where you could do this or that, right? I mean, Trey, you're the one who can really speak on this, but like mainly you go here and you just do this action, right? And I guess you could make
them are then A then B. You family grow, then you get a minor improvement action. You can't do it. Right. You can't do the minor improvement if you haven't done the family grow. There's a little bit of that kind of sequencing.
Right. And theoretically you could make an argument that the sequencing of worker placement is that like there's reveals as the game goes along of what spots are available at what parts of the game. But like in this game, since every action is paired with another action, there had to be a lot of thought to make sure that those pairings worked properly. Like they did the right thing. They created the dilemmas. They cause maximum agony. And I think that the game it just does it so well. And to me, the game reminds me also of like a merry-go-round, like or you're just like trying to jump on a merry-go-round that's not stopping for you. And I mentioned this on Table Scraps, and I'm going to mention it again here. I think the rum runner / production spot, like to me, typifies what's brilliant about the worker placement. So there are two things going on here in the game. There are these boats that travel around Manhattan, and you can buy from the boats or you can attack them. And when you attack the boats, it's a whole thing. It's a very fun thing to do. It's hard, but you can attack the boats. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing is you can build a still, much like James had before it was destroyed by his frenemy. And if you build your own still, then you can take an action. You can play an orange card that will allow the still to produce, and you can get booze that way. So what does this all mean together? Like, why is this brilliant? So the spot to attack the rum runner boats is the same spot where you also play your orange card. So the first thing you do is you play your orange card and then you attack the rum runner boats. Well, so here's the thing. When you attack a rum runner boat, you're given a barrel, and it's kind of like a nice workaround from producing. So you could then decide not to produce there, but then like, why would you ever go to a spot when you have 11 actions and not play your orange card to produce? So of course you want to produce. So you want to play your orange card, but then if you produce the orange card, then you got to
better build a still.
You better have built a still.
So you have to take that action.
If you're going to do that, you should have a truck to get the stuff from the still to the thing. And then now you're doing all this stuff. And then, well, why am I even worrying about the rum runner? And the point is that, like, no matter what you do, you're screwed, you know? It's great.
I think in the end, like, it's calibrated for pain. In frustration. Pain is not the right. Frustration. And I think this is the reason why for 11 actions per person, like, it takes a long time because you go down one route and then you have to back up and think of a different route to go down to. How many times have you gone, I'm going to do this when it's your turn? Because we're all good game players. We've decided we're going to do, and we start going down the route and we go, oh, wait. I have to undo what I've done. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, guys. That happens a lot because it's because it's basically like, I can't grasp it. Say again?
A cobweb.
Yeah, I can't grasp it completely. I can only basically touch it, and I can barely touch it. And when I miss, like, I have to redo the whole calculus. It's
there's always like some element that like you just wind up doing suboptimally on your turn, and you always feel like you're within grasp of, like, if you just think a little bit longer, you can figure out the way to do it all optimally. But inevitably, you sort of come crashing down, and you say, I have to.
I just have to move.
I'm going to have to attack the rum runner and
produce.
Sacrifice production, like something like that. Yeah.
This is a game that has this, like, as complex as what you just described. Is like, if I'm going to do C, first I got to do B. Before I do B, I got to do A. And, if you're going to do A, you really need to have done D first. And it's always good to do C before D.
If you do D, then why would you do A?
And like, I think Ben, you even described it as like, how do I get onto this? Where's the on-ramp to the loop that I want to do? And there are some answers there, because this is one of those games in which you have super turns. These are not micro turns. These are super turns. And because it's not just that, like, on that action space, I'm going to get 3 different things I'm going to do, and I have to do this one first, and then I can do the other 2 in any order. We also have things like these city tiles that will give us additional action. We also have helper cards that we can play at the beginning of our turn that's going to give us something. So we have, like, those are good because they end up, like, breaking down that, like, impossible loop to break into. But it also means that there's plenty of times where when you actually look at a player's turn, they ended up doing like 6 different things in a particular sequence. And that is part of what makes this such a brain burner, because there is a correct answer a lot of times, or there's various degrees of correct answers. And so if you do not take the time to work out your efficiency puzzle, which is, I think, how you described it on Table Scraps, like, you won't be playing well.
Yeah.
Like, it's a tough one.
And I'm starting to realize that I think these games that are efficiency puzzles, where they say you've got only this many turns and you've got to do all the stuff in like 5 turns, and so you have to combo everything together. These are the games that are going to going to elicit the most AP out of people? I think that, Paul, you are generally playing a relatively quick or normal pace board gamer. And I saw you in this game have extraordinary AP. And I never see that out of you. I saw you when we played over at Candace's, your brain was just like melting. You were sitting there and you were staring and you were like, you were losing your mind. And not like you weren't angry. You were being like, I could see everything, like the goo coming out of your ear. And I think this game, because you feel like I only have these many turns, I have to make the most out of all of it. And I think probably this the nature of these games, the min-maxing, which is where I guess you try to get the maximum amount of points or things out of the minimum number of moves, is sort of off the charts with it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Paul, how was it for you?
I 100% agree with what you said. I think what the issue, and by issue, this is a good thing, is that the game tricks you in thinking that you can figure it out.
Yeah, it does.
That's what it is.
Does.
That's what it, like if I really think about it, like, you know, right now, at least with two games and not study without a bunch of reps, like, I think that the summit of the mountain is closer than it is. Like, I don't have the perspective to go like, oh, there's a lot more work to be done in order to really grok this game. I go like, oh, but it's just this. It's just, and this is, and then when you're confronted with like, oh, it's not just this, you lose your mind in the best way. In the best way. This is like,
it's like a spicy bouillabaisse. Okay, no, sorry.
Yeah, of course.
But I would say this is my favorite. It might not be my favorite Lacerda game, but this is my favorite mechanic or action space in all Lacerda games. Like this, because I feel like this is so well executed in a way that, like, I really feel like I see the intellect behind it. Like, the game itself is great. I don't relate to being a mobster, but I'm in it, and I'm sorry.
It's too close to home.
Yeah. But with that said, like I can't think of another Lacerda game where I go like, oh, I'm so fascinated by the thought process of how to work the.
I felt like On Mars has a lot of intellectual design, like really clever, smart design in it. I think 100%, that one is a good one too.
I feel like this is cleaner.
Yeah.
Because I feel
this is a straightforward game, actually, for all that we're saying.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, the strategy is not straightforward, but in terms of it's like, you need to build a speakeasy, you take the speakeasy spot. You need to upgrade it, you take the upgrade spot. Some of his games,
you need to make money, take the make money spot.
Yeah, like, you know, if you look at Weather Machine, or you look at Inventions was like, you chain all these things together to do this and that. Oh, you need to invent something, you have to do this, and then someone else has to piggyback on it, and then you do this, and you do that. It's like, it was all like, he would try to give some sort of like thematic explanation for why this all makes sense, but it didn't inherently feel like I was doing the thing I was doing. But in this one, it's like, oh, I need to deliver.
The actions make sense.
The actions really, it's a straightforward do the thing, but that's because you have so few turns, you have to then use all the bells and whistles that are all around on the board and everywhere to like get to maximize it. And that's where it becomes incredibly complex to sort of navigate.
Like, I love On Mars. I think On Mars is still probably my favorite Lacerda. There are parts of On Mars where I go like, I'm mad at the game, and with this, I'm always mad at me. Because like, it's so simple. Why, you know, just do these two things. It's not that hard, and yet it's so hard. For me, like, that's my.
Let me go off what Ben's saying real quick, because I felt like this is, I haven't connected with a Lacerda game in a while. I even struggled with On Mars. This one, I think the narrative frame of this helps all of the actions make sense. So, like, I was in love with this game from the get-go, and I think a lot of the complexity was fine because, like, I'm a mobster, I'm doing mobster things, and the actions make sense. I would say that's true about like 80% of the time, and that's where the game started to get a little baroque for me, was when it stopped being about, hey, I need to, you know, make hooch in my distillery, or I can get it from over here, and I'm going to take it to my speakeasies, which I've taken over, and then I'm going to have parties to get money, and then we started to get into, but that's not just, there's still stuff we haven't talked about yet. Like there's city tiles, there's cooking the
so
books,
much, yeah.
there's still so much that's layered on top of that. And I think like when it was really strongly narratively motivated, Ben, like you're talking about, like I'm moving my trucks from district to district, I'm dropping off and picking up my hooch, like the game is working and completely singing for me. When it's, I'm playing a city tile so I can do the icon that is on the disc.
Yeah,
That's where it got a little Trismegistus-y for me. You know,
for those
which
who
is
are new to the podcast, Trismegistus is Trey's code word for convoluted, maybe.
convoluted, removed from the narrative, because it's an alchemy thing. We're making things, we're combining.
It feels almost like the city tiles could have been rethemed into like local. It's like it's basically like the businesses that you're roughing up to get a favor out of, right? Like it's the locals, right? Like that would have made.
I'm having a hard time narratively.
It's like the favor that you're cashing in. It's like you're like, okay, I'm taking over this space, and guess what? Like I'm going to call upon you. I'm going to come back here someday, and I'm going to call upon you for your services, and you're going to help me out. I'm forced to do it.
Like
you should call them favors.
The city tiles
there need to be flavor text on all of it. It's exactly what it is.
I think, yes, go on, Paul.
To go for what Trey said, like the thing that I've never engaged with in the game are the books. Because the books just seem like, oh, I get a bunch of books, and now here's some points I'm grabbing.
Yeah,
so
they can be races. Like I ended up losing a bunch of races in my last game, and like that's actually where some of the sharp elbows between the players, because there's not a lot actually.
Sure.
You don't end up battling each other tremendously. There's a certain area control battle going on, but then there's some other times where it's like, hey, here's the result for Midtown, and if you do this, it's going to be worth $20 when you cash your books in there. And I like fell asleep, and James snuck in on one of those, and I'm like, yeah, you got me.
You're talking to a guy who has lost every race for winning them, and so there, like I felt like for as integrated as theme is, I never understood like, oh, here's now we're just grabbing points with this.
Yeah, it's basically like it's full. It's a full, like cooking the books is a fun thematic zhuzh on like kind of standard Euro game, like first person to this public goal gets this. And so like that one is they put some thematic sizzle on it, but it's not, you don't feel like you've cooked a book.
It's not you're not making,
and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, totally. But it's just not integrated to like you're running a illicit business. That's all.
Well, actually, I don't know if I agree with that. Well, okay, it's not thematically integrated. I guess you could make an argument that it is. I mean, I think it's a bit more of a tenuous argument.
It's less successful than some of the other aspects, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. However, like it's definitely integral. Like just as cooking the books is integral to like running a speakeasy, it isn't integral to winning this game. And there, it's true.
That's the link.
You have to cook books in this game. You really have to. You cannot ignore them. That is.
As a person who has, like, you're right. I've never come close to winning without. Yeah.
I think one thing that I kind of want to touch on here too is that there's actually a lot of levers in this game.
So
many
levers.
Stuff. It's actually quite sandboxy. Because you could play a game where you are focusing on building up your hooch production, and then also your ability to transport that hooch and get it to where you need to get it to and sell it. And that's just your game, a pretty simple economic game. There's another game you can play where instead of doing production, you're buying it off of boats, and then you're bringing it places. Maybe you go and you're attacking boats a lot, or maybe your whole thing is that you're focusing on those books a bit more, and that way you're cooking those books to get the stuff into your engines. That way you can do amazing things. Your player board has various tracks that reminded me of Endeavor Deep Sea, where you can sort of, you can improve different aspects of your speakeasy with these tracks. And so like, there's actually so many
different ways to play it, right?
Yeah.
There's many different ways to be a mobster.
Yeah. And you can never really do it all, but you can't just
definitely
do one thing. I tried to do, so with the rum runners, attacking the rum runners, I tried to, do a strategy, focus on like really doing that the whole game.
A dock strategy.
A dock strategy. And I attacked rum runners 3 times, which is like a lot. And it was doing well for me at first, but then either I veered away from it or I didn't play it right, and I had the lowest score ever with that one. I don't really understand how to make the rum runners work as like the cornerstone of a strategy, and maybe they can't. Maybe they're there to support a larger other strategy. But I'm definitely curious to know if people out there have played this game and made rum runners like a big like big rum runner strategy. You know, it's
Like,
hard.
yeah,
I want to go back to a
would.
point you. Oh, sorry, Paul. Go ahead.
I was gonna say like for my initial plays, and I don't know if this is true. Uh, I do feel that you wind up picking a lane quickly and then having to follow that lane to the end. I think like switching lanes mid game. I don't know if that's going to work out for you.
But
So,
I've also found, I know Trey, you had a point you were trying to make before, but real quickly, I have found that sometimes in the first act of the game, I have something that I do. I'm like, okay, this would be my lane. And then the second act comes and that mob war, I don't know, something's changed. And all of a
Yeah.
sudden in act two, I'm doing something completely different. And it really does feel like an act two. Like act one was this era of my thing. And act two, like when we played Trey, remember, Act One, I was focusing so much on family members. And Act Two, I didn't get a single family member. That was like my strategy was totally different. So I don't know. I don't know about that or not. But
I mean,
what were you going to
that's
say
a
before,
positive
Trey?
thing. Well, I was going to really kind of grasp onto your sandbox comment because I think I disagree with Paul just a little bit. Or let me rephrase. When you first start the game, your decision space is gigantic. You have so many choices. Where am I even going to start? Where am I going to make my presence in the city? What do I do first? It can be very overwhelming. Really interesting, especially on multiple plays, but you have a million options. Then once you've gone a certain route, then your game can become a little more focused of like, okay, I've built my still now. I need to actually operate it. Maybe I want to pump it up a little bit before I do it, so it's going to make more barrels. Then I need to deliver it. Then I need my places to perform. You like, it starts to be like, okay, I've gotten my on ramp. I'm now on B, so I know I need to do C and D. Like that does happen. And then, so that's part of the arc of the game where you're kind of getting into your mid game. And then the last third of the game is like, and now I need to be taking these actions where I'm really doing like 5 different things.
Mhm.
Like, and so there, you have different types of complexity at different stages
Yeah.
of the game. And whether that's a good thing for you or
think it's
not a
great.
good thing for you,
It's so
that's
it's great. I'm starting to get like that thing in my heart right now where I'm like, oh my God, it's so good. Because it's also never as easy as that. When it's like, oh, well, okay, I got my still up and running. I got to start delivering. It's like, okay, so now you got to spend some energy building out your trucks. And you finally get your trucks where they need to be. And the act is over. Like, but I haven't even sold my booze yet. And like, oh, I don't have, okay, well, oh, I'm producing 4 barrels, but I only have 2 buildings. So I can't even use them all. So I got to build my buildings. And you're always somehow behind the 8 ball at all times. I think that's kind of like amazing about it. I think there's also another cool element of the game, which ties it back to the large shtick of the mob wars, is the decision that I think you were touching on a bit before, Trey, of how you want to establish your empire.
Mhm.
So when these NPC mobsters come in, they erect little speakeasies, little red speakeasies around the map, and the game starts with some of them already out there. And what you can do is when you open up a speakeasy, you can take an empty plot of land, or you can just attack the game and take over one of their speakeasies. If you take over one of their speakeasies, you're never going to be attacked by the mob in that location ever again. The mob has already been there. They're not coming back. And so if you go on your own plot of land, you will get attacked at some point. And so in order to take over the red speakeasy, you need to have a certain base level of strength. Later on, to defend yourself, you're going to need some strength. And so you have to decide, when do I want to invest in actually defending my properties? Do I want to like start early and take over these areas and not be bothered the rest of the game, but then I'm going to get behind on focusing on what I really want to do, which is building out my production, yada, yada, yada? Or do I say, whatever, I'm going to focus on my production and I'll get attacked later on and I'll deal with it then? I think that's so cool, having to decide when you are going to have to defend your business.
over the eras, you know.
Yeah, like it's like a really interesting way of like having to contemplate how you're going to tend to these things. And of course, any decision you make has massive ramifications, because if you decide, okay, I'm gonna start the game. I don't want to be I don't want to be bothered by these mob wars. I'm gonna start the game. I'm gonna take over one of these speakeasies that has a low strength of 3 or 4. Great. Well, I need to get my strength up that way. I'll become friends with this mobster over here. I just became friends with this mobster. I took over the speakeasy, and now that I'm friends with this mobster, I now have some asymmetric power that the mobster gave me. Oh, now I have a direction to go in, and the game just sort of like shoots you down the path, which I think is also a really cool way of establishing, a lane in the game.
I'm going to do my worker placement quibble because
Yes.
I'm going to push back and say this is not actually a worker placement game. I think this is an action selection game. And because the distinction I'll make is when we played this game at 4Ben, yes, there was some blocking. Not a lot of blocking, but there was some blocking. And it's never the case, like, say, for example, in Agricola, all the time, you may need to take start player in order to get the critical action next turn because one person's going to take it and then you're not going to be able to do it. This game doesn't have that kind of narrow, if this gets taken by another person, you can't do it at all. There's always like 3 different options there. And even if one's a little bit better, you just have to be a little bit less optimal. And then they even have like 2 or 3 spaces where you can bump other people and they get a nice little reward when you bump them. So it's nice to kind of, lay out as like, this is my territory and I'm going to get rewarded for going here first. But it's never the case that like you're blocking someone from taking the critical action. And in fact, when we played the 3-player game with James, nobody ever got blocked in that game. Like the action that actually bumped somebody got taken maybe once or twice in the game. And so I do feel like these are different creatures. And this is not a criticism. And I think Paul, I do totally agree with Paul that the kind of like the sequencing of each of these action spaces is really fine tuned and really interesting. But this is not, for example, like I'm thinking of Barrage, another worker placement game where like there are definite like good spots and those good spots get taken up and like the spots get kind of like worse and worse and worse as you continue on your turn. I'm not experiencing that in this game at all, especially because like we're all on different parts of that loop. You may be on C, but I'm still on A. And so it's very rare that we're competing for like, okay, here's the good spot that we all we
must have.
Yeah, and like you do end up changing turn order a lot, but it's rarely like I need to go first so that I can do this. Like that's not happening.
It does.
But
it does happen.
I need to go last in order to do that. That happens a lot.
Sometimes there are times. I mean, when like those races are real, and I missed out on attacking a boat that I really wanted. So turn order does in fact matter.
Does matter.
I actually want to take a moment to talk about turn order because I think that turn order is
interesting,
both really cool, but it's also an area where the game I think may have its biggest egg on its face or black eye, maybe whatever. My biggest criticism
it's warped
with the turn.
Yeah,
it's one of its issues is it
a drink thrown on its face.
A drink thrown on its face. It's honestly like to me, it really lands in quibble land. It's but I think this is where I think that one of the strongest criticisms against the game can lie. So, what you mentioned how in a worker placement game, a lot of times you're vying for turn order to get to spaces. And here, what's so interesting is that there's a whole mechanic where the police can come in, and if the police officer is in the same location where you have a speakeasy or any building. That building is basically rendered useless. It basically becomes invisible. You can't do anything with it. The only way you can get it to work is if you protect the building by you get leverage on the police officer. You basically are bribing the cops. And in order to do that, there's a whole currency of leverage. Leverage is a currency. Strength is a currency. Leverage is one. So leverage is a currency. And it's really, really, really important to get your buildings to work for a variety of reasons that I won't get into, but you really want them to work. When you go last in turn order, the leverage cost to protect your buildings is tiny, and it's significant. It's significant. Being able to pay 4 leverage to protect 4 buildings versus 4 leverage to protect only 1 building is huge. And I think the decision behind like the whole turn order area, like that is awesome. I love that turn order is tied with your ability to protect your buildings and make them functional. What do you guys think about that whole system?
No, I think it's great. I mean, for all of it, I I like the fact that there are reasons to go first and there are reasons to go last that are not about like where you go in the sequence. Like as Trey said, like I might be A, he might be a C. It doesn't matter. But more often than not, what happens is like I need to spend less than four on leverage for a person, and then someone else goes, well, true, but I also want to spend less too. That's where the collision happens, where
Yeah.
the people are trying to protect their people, their buildings, and
Or or better yet, you're in turn order in a way that your rate is like 2 leverage per person that you want to send out to protect, and you sort of aren't paying attention, and someone changes the turn order, and then it's your turn, and you're ready to go send those people out to protect your buildings, and you look down and you discover that now all of a sudden, because the turn order
There's
changes,
three.
that it costs you 3, and you don't have you don't have enough.
And I think the humor in it that I find is that you're racing for last.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the humor in it. You're like, oh,
You even have to
racing
pay
to go-
extra cards in order to go there too.
That's right.
It knows
Like,
how good it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. And so it's last, and it has nothing to do with like trying to have turn order on someone else. It has everything to do with like I just need to pay less because I don't have enough leverage.
I need
It's
to thrive more
hilarious.
easily. But
Here's where
the
yeah.
downside. Trey, are you going to say what the downside
Well,
is of this?
I thought you were going a little bit of a different direction there in terms of the egg on your face. Like a lot of times your
No,
turn
that
order
wasn't.
gets.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say that I didn't get to the egg on the face. I
Yeah,
thought that
get
was the
to
good
it.
part, but
I
this
think
is the egg
we're on the
the
same
face.
page here.
I think you're about to say the egg on the face part.
Well, a lot of times
This is
the turn
issue.
order moves and it's almost incidental. But like you can be third and then you kind of get to move to first. There's other times when you're first and you end up kind of last. There's times where because like I'm going first here and then next round, actually there's a lot of movement. I'm going to end up fourth. There's times where that meant I didn't do anything for 45 minutes in the game.
That's
And
the issue.
and especially in a game in which I don't even want to call it AP. It is AP, but it's like this is actually the game where you're trying to figure this stuff out. So you don't want to be rushing other people. These moves are going to take a really long time. So even when people are playing very responsibly, there's times where you can be like just of the vagaries of turn order. It can be like it's 45 minutes since I've made a damn move, and that was not a great feeling moment. And that was happening in our three player game, not even our 4-player game.
And that's the thing. If you are first in turn order and you decide you needed to get your leverage cost down, so you want to go to fourth, you are gonna wait through. That means you have like 6 or 7 turns before it comes back to you. You do your turn, 3 more turns. Yeah, it's gonna be 6 turns. 3 turns after you because you were in first, and then the next round 3 turns because now you're in last. So waiting through 6 turns is like pretty agonizing. I personally have not had too much of an issue with that. Like in terms of like hasn't bothered me too much. My brain is usually going in so many different directions that I often spend all that time figuring out what my next plan is. But I fully recognize that that's going to be a problem for people. And I think that it is hard. I mean, I'm not going to act like, oh, I'm this Mr. Tolerant person. I just can relax. There have been times I've been like, yeah, I'm ready for this to move on. And I try to be patient. But like the worst is when like someone has just taken a huge turn. You watch them laboring through this crazy turn with combos. They take it back. They do it again. And like you all do this. But when everyone's going to have the big turn. They do it like crazy. They do it. And they do their big turn and like, oh God, they finally finished their turn. And then it's like, okay, next turn. Oh,
wait,
they're going again. Here comes they get to the
comes their 6th action.
Like, oh no.
It's hilarious because like Trey, you're going, there's a long time between first and fourth. Like, I got to wait a long time. And Ben is like, this dude is going twice.
Because for some people, I almost want them to have some time off. I'm like, okay, you need a commercial break. But like, just because and the thing is their second turn may be quick because it was just the first one was the long one. But there's like a mental feeling of like, okay, they finally got to their turn. Now we can move forward. They're playing again. They're doing a whole new turn. And you're like, no. And
do you think of a game that has turns this long? I can't think of a more AP kind of
I think
prone
that's a good
game.
question.
I do remember when Grand Austria Hotel came out, there was all sorts of talk about that game. The rounds would go in like a snake draft order. And people were really upset about it. And people were like, never play Grand Austria Hotel at 4 players because then you're going to have to like sit there. If you're first player, then you have to wait like 10 minutes before your next turn. And it's like, oh, you don't even know about Speakeasy.
Right.
Stupid,
That's
you
my
idiotic,
sweets.
naive Grand Austria Hotel people. It's a great game, by the
So
way.
it's so weird because like for me, I don't think I feel the time. Like for me, like I'm
It does fly
unless it's
by.
unless it's 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm actually not feeling the time. I go like, oh, I'm always very interested in what people are doing. I'm watching them take it back again, and it's like, oh, this is very interesting because it's going to affect me. So we talk about the AP, we talk about all that, like I personally I've never gone like, oh, like you're taking too long, except for that time I said that to Jordan.
You
But
did.
that
It was like 1:30 in the morning, and Jordan was like pondering something, and Paul goes, Jordan, you have to make a choice.
like
And Jordan wasn't even taking that long of a turn, but it was just like
but for me, like that was not about, like, from my perception, Jordan did lose, so like this is not his fault. I felt like he was obviously going to win because I played the game like 0.6 times, so I obviously solved it. and I just go, Jordan, it's 1 o'clock. Like you're going to win. Just take the less optimal move. You don't have to min max this. And then
and
and then
what
Jordan
happened?
go and then Jordan goes like, "Am I? Is this true, guys?" And both you and David go,
It felt
"Yes," simultaneously.
because
Simultaneously.
it felt okay. It felt like Jordan was clearly going to win. He was just racking. He had a stack of like hundreds in front of his player board. Because there's also we didn't even talk about the player shield. Doesn't matter. We don't have to talk about the player shield. But like he has a stack of money in front of his player shield. And so we're like, yeah, like you're gonna win. It's fine. Just you could do moves. So he does something. I don't know what he was trying to do on his turn because I was so in my own mindset. But
Yeah.
whatever he did, he lost
He
track
missed
of something.
something. He missed something.
He missed something, and the mob came in. And next thing you know, some of those buildings that Jordan had were not there anymore. And all of a sudden, it's like, and the area majority goes to Ben Mandelker. And I was like, hey, I got $45. And Jordan's like, I don't have presents there anymore. And I wound up winning after we told Jordan he was going to win. Oh, I felt so bad, but it was
Y'all are
funny.
bad people. I think this does bring up, though, along this lines. Here's
We are bad
another
people.
thing that bothered me because I think I did check out a little bit. I'm glad you're still thinking, because like a lot of times when you're waiting, there can be like two problems. One is things are going to change so much by the
Yep.
time it gets to me that it's too hard to plan, or I'm on the cycle and it's like I just did B, I know I'm doing C.
Yep.
And so, like, I know what I'm doing already. And so, yeah, I can study, but like, I've already kind of banked my moves in my head. And so, it's easy to check out on that. The thing I was going to say, though, is like when these super moves happen, and they will happen on other players' turns, I was frustrated that I was having trouble following all of the different steps of other players' actions.
100%.
And it's like, this is one of those games where you kind of have to enforce a little bit of, I need you to talk out your
Narration.
turn while you're taking it, because we do need to be following it. And some of it is not that like I don't trust you. Some of it is just like my own understanding of the game a lot of times. But let's be honest, like this is a highly complex game. The weight of this game is like 4.15 ish. I guarantee you were playing things wrong on our first play. So like you do need to be talking out the 5 and 6 steps of your action because you might be interpreting things wrong. I know I did on the first game we played that I supposedly won over you, Ben. It's like, no, there's a giant asterisk. I wasn't paying my, what was it? Influence?
You weren't doing your leverage. You weren't
wasn't doing
your
my, I wasn't
properly.
paying all of the leverage I should have been paying. Damn it. But that's a
Way to go,
thing. Like this is one of those games where like I think I said I think this would be an awesome board game arena async game because you're not actually, unlike something like Terra Mystica where you need to like be going to other people saying like, hey, do you want to lose points to take power, and interrupting your turn. You actually could have these like major turns taking place asynchronously and spend as much time as you want on your turns, whereas in person, yeah, you end up at 1:30 and somebody's rushing Jordan unfairly to finish the game.
Ben,
I think that I just co-signed, but it was you. It was you. I think that or even if someone is narrating their turn, a lot of times I'm so absorbed in trying to figure out what I'm gonna figure out that by the time I come up for air, I'm like, wait, what are you doing again? You know, I'm like, so I'm like not following them, and as the night goes on or the day goes on, it gets harder and harder. So there is that. I'm like, okay, I don't necessarily have to track, but however, it is when you really know what someone's going to do, you can just sort of just engage as just for funsies in a game. You know, you can like, oh, you're gonna go there, you're gonna produce in your still, blah 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 blah. You can engage in the game, and actually, I want to sort of circle back on that point to interaction. I guess we talked about it, but the interaction in this game, I think it's like it's definitely you're racing for real estate, you're racing for these public goals. There's also interaction around attacking the rum runners, but I don't think this is a game where you're trying to get into people's heads, right? I mean, are Lacerda games really like that though in the first place?
I can't think of one. I can't think of
on
one.
Mars,
I think
on Mars has some good interaction, right? Because you're building that colony, and you're
if
also
we play
like,
CO2, Paul will hold the planet hostage.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure that's what you would call like meaningful player interactions. This game has player interaction, but it's on the lesser side.
Right.
Like,
but I always feel like I may not be tracking everything that everyone's doing, but I feel like I'm constantly comparing my state with everyone else. I feel like I'm constantly like keeping tabs on what people are doing. Like when do I have like how far can I do other things before I have to like race to like cook my books maybe. I feel like I'm keeping tabs on people. So I feel like I'm being interactive, even though when you actually drill down, it's not crazy interactive, right?
I wouldn't say, you know, a game that I think is very interactive is what you call it, and it's just left me. It's a game where you no 5-player, the estates. Like you're building on, like people are putting stuff. You're building on those stuff. Everyone is It's hands on hands on hands. That's interactive. For here, the only thing that you're really doing that can affect someone really is real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Real estate and turn order. Actually, turn order can really screw someone up. But like as Trey was saying, like you taking a spot isn't going to destroy their game. Probably it's probably going to diminish the effectiveness of that action.
Well, you and David had some real issues over real estate.
David and I often do have issues. Period. In all games, but like yes, but I don't think that necessarily had to happen. I think that's just the way that we play the game. Like I think it could have easily happened where David picked Uptown, I picked Midtown, or whatever. Whereas like in the estates, you have no choice. There is no playing your own game. So in those extremes, like you know, I feel that like it has some light interaction, but for the most part, it's you creating an efficiency puzzle. The person who has the most interaction with you is actually the mob.
It's the game. It's the game.
Yeah.
It's actually a little surprising that given that you can produce whiskey and you can distribute it, that you can't actually sell to your opponents. And I'm sure there probably was a version of that for whatever reason did not work, was not achieving the goals that he wanted. Maybe it meant that people built their buildings in a strange way. They didn't want to provide buildings. I don't know. I don't know
like I'm surprised that like, you know, I'm not surprised. I'm glad that it happened this way. But I have to believe there was a test version where you could burn down your opponent's speakeasy.
I'm sure that would have been
yeah, and that would have been. And to me, I go like, oh, that seems like a very normal thematic and easy way to cause interaction, and it goes again to the calibration, and he goes, no, you don't need that.
Yeah.
This game does not need that. And there's no version where I go like, oh yeah, I really need to burn down Trey's speakeasy. That's what I want. Like
It
there's
would
not
be catastrophic for this game, I think.
it would change the tone of the game so much that it wouldn't be this game.
Wouldn't
And I'm
be.
like going like this. I go like, oh, he really understood what he wanted from this game. I was very impressed.
Mhm. What about variability and replayability? I sort of want to touch on this real quickly. Do you think this is a highly replayable game? Does it feel very variable? How does it land for you, Trey?
I think the sandbox is so big. There's going to be a ton of replayability just to pull all the different levers in different ways. And I, in some ways, like this game, so there's so much going on. I tried to kind of like simplify some of my
Mhm.
tasks for myself that, like I have never done, assaulting a boat,
Mm.
but like I want to try that.
Yeah, sure.
And then I think,
Yeah,
like you said, oh,
awesome.
I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna do it 3 times, and then it didn't kind of work out. But maybe you just didn't do it right. Like I assume that can work really well. I think there's probably 4 or 5 different versions of that. Of like, I'm gonna play a certain kind of game. It might have a lot to do with, hey, what were the book rewards that showed up
Yeah.
in the different areas this game, because that matters. Those things are where kind of like, when you first play Terra Mystica, you kind of ignore the round rewards, and then like as you get better in the game, you realize the round rewards are everything
Yeah.
in the game. I think that maybe not that extreme, but like the book rewards in this game will dictate the play tremendously.
Yeah, I think
So
that's like a game. And just by the rum runner thing, I think this is a game where you have to play. You have to do everything very intentionally. And so if you say, "Oh, I want to like play a game where I hit the rum runners a lot," that's like not enough. You can't be like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this because I want to see if I flog this how it works." It has to be like, "I want to hit these runners a lot, so that way I will have these barrels, and therefore when I use these barrels, I'm gonna do this." Like you have to really think about how you really want to use that. And I think the reason why I did badly was I was like, I'm hitting this, I'm gonna sell these barrels, and you have to like sometimes you just have to see which way the game coaxes you and don't come in with a like I want to play it this way. You sort of have to see how the game is saying this is the path that's opening up for you. But I think that the I don't think the variability is like crazy high, but I think the
no,
replayability is very high. I think that like this is a game where every time I play it, I always come out with some declaration of like, oh well, what I've learned in this game was that you have to pay attention to the book rewards and then use those book rewards, and that powers everything. And then the next game I'm saying, oh well, actually, what it's really about are those city tiles. You need to get those city tiles because if you use those city tiles in the restaurant, then you got power actions, and then you're set. And then it's like, oh, you know what you have to do? You gotta get the helper cards. Oh, you know what you gotta do? You've got to attack a boat once, get an asymmetric power, and then use that as the basis of your engine. Like every game, I have a new conclusion, and so I feel like you just can keep on digging and digging and digging and digging and trying to figure out what's the right way.
got to find those new efficiencies that I didn't know were there. I think
Yeah,
it's safe. You're going to play this game over 10 times.
I will. I've already played it, I think 5 times.
Yeah.
Paul, are you trying to say something?
Yeah, I would say for me, I have 10 games of this left. As much as I love this game, as much as and it has everything to do with interactivity. Because,
Mhm.
like, for me, it's not that, it's a curiosity to deal with the puzzle of a game. But I'm actually playing against my friends or the people I'm playing with.
Mhm.
And ultimately, this is, once again, I'm sorry, this is me. I'm the one in our group who doesn't love Agricola or Le Havre or any of those damn games, Trey. uh, because ultimately, like I don't feel like I'm interacting with the people in the way that I enjoy. So,
Mhm.
so as much as this puzzle is great, and as much as I love, and I think I've been very effusive about how well designed I think this game is. Uh, I think that like it is excellent for what it is. It's not exactly what I want when I play games.
Yeah, I think I also want to note that like in the Kickstarter version, I don't know if this is the way the retail version is going to be. It does come with like a small expansion that you can start the game with some powers,
Mhm.
and also there's some goals, and I think that's going to help a lot. Sometimes with the sandbox, you kind of like wind up
Mhm.
falling into the same strategy no matter what because you're used to it and you're comfortable with it. And I think actually having these powers will nudge you in different directions that will be helpful, and that will help the variability for the experience. But I know what you're saying, Paul. I think that like I don't have. I love when a game is super interactive and you are having the sort of interaction that you're looking for, but I'm also perfectly happy when a
Yeah,
game has this sort of interaction. So I definitely think that I'm gonna have, you know, many.
a
I don't
bunch.
know how many more plays because it is a beast to teach. It's weird. It doesn't feel hard to teach, but like it's an
It's
it's a
long.
Lacerda game. It's a
Yeah,
Lacerda game,
it
you
is a
know.
Lacerda game.
So here's the big question. The big question that I always like to get to before we wrap it up. Was it fun? Trey, did you have fun playing this game? Or do you think, I should say, did you think that the game is fun?
Did I think what?
Do you think the game is fun?
I listen. I definitely adore this game. I think I had a better time playing it the first time. I'm definitely going to play it again. And I had fun. Yeah, I had fun. I would say like the game to me, I did get broken a little bit in that second play where I had too much downtime. So for me, the game is a little bit too long. It's about like 20% too much on some
Mhm.
levels. And that, I don't think you can go and I can point and say, get rid of the city tiles and get rid of the books and it'd be great. Like, I don't think that's true. It just, when it talks about getting it to the table and is this how I want to spend my time, I think I have a single digit number of plays in me on this,
Mhm.
and that's where I'm at. I totally recommend this. At the same time, it's never going to be my game that I want to play every time and get it on the table. It's too long, and some of the wait is too long.
Well, you know, and that night you sort of you made a comment. And I don't know if because it was you were in the throes of it, and maybe it's revised now, but you were like, "This is an absolutely amazing game, but I kind of don't want to play it again." Do you do you still sort of feel that way, or is it like slightly revised? Because it sounds like you want to play it maybe one or two more times, but or
Yeah,
is
I
it?
may need to take a little bit of a break. I mean, I could definitely see like playing this game once a year, but it's also like, say we wanted to bring this game out at Tom's. Like, I can't imagine
Mhm.
bringing this game out at
Mhm.
Tom's. It would just
No,
take too long. Like, you
there'd
you
be a
have to
lot
have
of
people that are down for the slog, and it can
yeah,
be a great slog, but it's also like you found yourself at, hey, it's 1:30, and now we need to, Jordan, you need to rush. So like,
yeah.
in a sense, that's pushing this into like Saturday game territory. And wouldn't you rather play TI4? I mean, this is a high bar, but if you're going to be taking a whole day on Saturday, like you'd rather be playing TI4, I think.
For an 18xx game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Paul, what do you think? Was it fun for you?
Yeah, I think it's fun. I mean, once again, like knowing, like I said, it's not a game that I'm going to play. It's not going to be a lifestyle game
Mhm.
for me. It is. I'm enamored with its craftsmanship. It's just so well designed. Like I haven't thought of. I think maybe the last game that I thought was, I was going to say Hegemony is very well designed, and I believe it is. I would say this has better design. Like I think things are just so calibrated, and I'm like I've been on the podcast for a while. I don't think anyone's ever heard me like talk about how well designed the game is. I think I'm
Mhm.
always one who's talking about, is this fun?
Yeah.
And
What's
and
the
like
experience that I'm going to
exactly.
remember? Yeah.
And for me, like I'm just really like I like Lacerda. I don't know if he's like one of my top uh favorite designers, but this is like so it like I have to just take off my hat as far as like
Mhm.
seeing how he's balanced this. It's like such mastership, if you will, of the craft. I'm just impressed. And yes, because of that, like I'm just having so much fun living in his craftsmanship.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I of course I have incredible
Yeah.
amount of fun playing the game. I really love it. I also want to point out I played a partial game with Matt Robinson, a two-player game, and at two players it was very breezy. And then Jordan reported that he played it with his partner Gigi, and at two players he said it took like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. It was like a very also very breezy. So like maybe two players if like some of the downtime is an issue, maybe two players is kind of like the sweet spot for this game.
And
There's a
interestingly
whole other
enough,
board when you do that. Yeah.
like because it's like a little less interactive, I imagine two players isn't doesn't take away from the experience.
No,
because
it was,
you're fighting the game.
yeah, you're always fighting the game, and you play on the other side of the board.
Uh-huh.
It's so it scales down nicely. I couldn't believe how much fun I had with this game. I actually feel like that a lot of Lacerda games, my initial play, I would not always categorize as like fun or fun forward. The
Right.
last two games I really did not connect with at all. Inventions and Weather Machine. I started to become concerned that I was like maybe in my post Lacerda phase. And even Kanban. Like I love Kanban, but the first time I played it, I was like, "What am I doing?" I was like, "I don't know what I'm doing." I felt like I was playing Plinko, and I was just seeing where those discs were landing. But but there was like an element by as you start to round the corner towards the finish line in that game, you start to like see the matrix a little bit, and you're like, "Oh," kind of like your old King's Crown thing. It's like you're like, "Oh, I get it. Okay, I'm ready to play again." This one to me was out of the gates. I was having fun. I was like, I love the choices. I love the agony. I love it every time. I was like, oh, I will just simply do this thing. No, I can't. I thought the game was like slapping me in the face in a way that
You're
was
into
fun.
it.
Like
Yeah,
yeah, for me the moment was when you build nightclub casino and then you get to do your purple card, or like it's where you normally, the other version is like you get your power, you build. Here is you build, you get your power, and
yeah,
and the moment like I place that down and then I start building and then I went, oh shit, and my first thought was, fuck you, Lacerda, fuck you. And I go like, this is pretty fun. Like, well done. I was like, hat
yeah,
off, fuck you.
yeah.
It was
I think
perfect.
this is like easily my favorite Lacerda.
Yeah.
Like right away, it
Sure.
just I find that this is the Lacerda that has really stuck in my brain, and yeah, the AP can be an issue, and I would say for sure be mindful of who you play this with if that's going to be an issue for you. Like, I don't think this is going to be a game for everyone, to be honest. I really don't. Even if people are enthusiastic about playing it, I think that like everyone that we played it with, it's been fine. But there will be some players that this will they're going to require hand holding the whole time, and I think you're going to have to like just be aware of that if you
It's a
embark
high weight
on
game.
this.
It's a high weight game and not a
It's-
short game. Despite
it-
the only
it's-
11 turns, it's not a short game.
Yeah, it might even make you think it's going quickly. You're like, oh, this is actually not as heavy as a typical Lacerda. I'm just doing. I want to build a speakeasy.
wait.
I built a speakeasy,
Just
and
wait.
the first act may just and then all of a sudden it like the walls close in on you. But I think it's
The cops are closing in on you.
It's
cops
still
are closing
absolutely a
in.
recommend for me, by the way. I mean, it's
yeah,
I think it's really brilliant, and I have very high appreciation for it.
absolutely. It's a high recommend for me. Like right now, it's my favorite game of the year. So we'll see
cool.
what comes down the pike. But to be fair, I've only played I feel like 3 games from 2025, so who knows? But obviously, it's such a big game that we wound up talking about it for quite a long time. So I think that's it. What were you gonna say, Paul?
I would say like, and here's our shorter episodes with like this just reviews.
But I mean, to be fair, I actually do think this game had so much to really sink our teeth into. I think it actually is. I don't feel like
There's
it's
plenty
we're
we
just, like,
probably didn't
stringing
even
it out.
touch.
Yeah,
I'm looking at like at notes to like maybe even talk about.
we can talk
and,
about
like,
the vault, like the half money, public money versus private money.
We could, but
we don't. We're not going to. But like there's still a lot more to the game, guys.
There's a lot we didn't talk about casinos. We didn't talk about the choices of how you build the buildings. The
And by the way,
upgrades,
this
and,
is
like,
just a first impressions. This is not actually a review. Just
I played it 5 times now. I'm gonna say I'm at review level. So
absolutely.
mine's coming from review space. But I think
kidding.
the takeaways were there's no room for kidding on a podcast, a serious podcast like this.
What do you think you're on? Table scraps?
The takeaways are that there's a lot to think about. You only have 11 turns, and get ready.
Get ready.
Well, guess what? The irony is that now I'm sober. I've sobered up.
Yeah,
Before.
there you go.
Lengthy
As long
discussion.
the read went so long that Ben is sober now. Love it.
Talk about the irony of it all. Well, thank you both for being here on Game Brain. I must have Game
On
Scraps.
Gimlet.
Gimlet. I need a Gimlet now. And thank you all for listening. And we'll catch you on the next episode of Game Brain. Thanks, everyone.
Ow.